Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Tooele Happy Hour, where if head trauma had a podcast, it would probably sound just like this. Jared, how you doing, buddy?
Better than you.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Well,
Dave
I'm doing
is
okay. I've got Maker's Mark. I'm drinking my COVID away, and today we have a guest, Ben Garrett. He's the genius behind Polity.app, the app that gives us centralized data for politics. And we're going to talk nerdy stuff today. Ben Garrett, would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. I'm Ben Garrett. My background is I spent 13 years in the cell phone industry doing just about anything you can imagine. And then from there, I transitioned over to a web developer, and I'm also a machine learning developer. And I've been doing that for, maybe about 4 years. So
machine learning. Is that like the artificial intelligence that everyone talks about?
Yeah. Yeah. Artificial intelligence is really kind of a generic term.
A broad term.
It's a very broad term. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, that's awful.
It sounds like you have a promising future, Ben, because I'll tell you what, that seems to be the big talk. I mean, it used to be Bitcoin a couple of years ago. Now it's AI. And then now I'm hearing we're all going to lose our jobs because of this thing.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that's not nearly as impressed with like AI as I think most people are. I don't know. I think there's a lot of hype, overhype, and misunderstanding, especially around ChatGPT. I mean, don't get me wrong, ChatGPT is very impressive. But is it going to replace people? I don't think so. Maybe some people, but yeah, not very many.
I don't know. BuzzFeed, what was it? 3 months ago made an announcement that they were going to do all of their news through I don't think ChatGPT was the one. I think they said they were going to do it through an algorithmic, but it might have been ChatGPT. And their stock overnight bumped like, I don't know, 6 points or whatever. And then last week they shut down permanently. So I don't know,
I was just going to say, didn't they just file for bankruptcy or something?
No, they shut the doors. They're done. And then what is it? What's that one? Vice News is done too. And I just have to throw it out there. I'm trying White Claw for the first time tonight in lieu of Dave's 44th time of getting COVID. I figured I'd try a drink that would link in with him physically, and it is awful. People drink this. I've got a pineapple one right now, and then after that, I'll have a black cherry. They're the girlfriend's drinks, and I stole 2 of them. And
I heard you have to have an injection of estrogen to go with that stuff.
They are awful. It's gross. It's like they didn't go enough in any one flavor. It's just, it ain't right. But anyways, so let's so you do a lot of working with machine learning, which I think is very interesting stuff. But you came out of the cell phone industry into that. Were you on like the technical side of the cell phone industry, like the backside?
Yeah. I mean, that was like kind of my core focus. I wouldn't say backside. I worked for a company, and we did like B2B cells. I started out actually fixing cell phones at like back. I don't know if you guys remember Nextel.
Mm-hmm.
At a Nextel repair center down in American Fork. And then I ran that for a few years, and then, started doing some B2B cells, but I was mainly focused on the technical side. Um, Solutions engineer is what they called me. And that was really just kind of a fancy title for glorified problem solver,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, so I started doing that, and then I just got really burned out, in the in the industry. Um, and had the idea for Polity, and at the time I didn't know how to program, and I originally was going to have a good friend of mine was going to program it, and he was a CTO of a company called Chargeback that was here in Utah. But it turns out being a CTO, you don't have a whole lot of time on your hands. So I figured, I'll just pick up programming and help him a little bit here and there. But when I started to learn how to program, and I kind of built my first small portion of Polity, I got addicted. I enjoyed it way more than I ever thought I would. And so I just ended up programming, the whole thing into where it's at now.
Mm. Mm.
Hey, Ben, let me ask you this. How long did it take you to figure out how to program?
Man, it's kind of a hard question to answer, because it's like I'm still learning. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like programming is like this very forever learning field. I almost feel like, but I would say it took me I took classes for a few months, probably 2 or 3 months, online classes just for free, trying to figure out how everything was. And then I programmed my very first portion of Polity, after that. Yeah, so I don't know if that really answers your question, because it's like even today, I'm always looking stuff up. I'm still learning. I don't know. Programming's kind of weird like that.
Yes, it is. So let's talk about Polity. Like, what did you create? Tell us about your invention.
What was your light bulb that kicked on over your head, the idea you came up with?
The idea. So this is you guys are gonna think I'm probably nuts when I say this, but
I don't know. I'm drinking White Claw, so just go on with it.
But the idea came to me, actually. It was like this dream that I had. And it wasn't like the whole thing of Polity. It was just like the most simplest version of the app, but I just kind of dreamt about it one night. Got super obsessed with the idea, and I don't know if you've ever had an idea just that like completely consumes you, but that's kind of how it felt, for a few days after that. But yeah, so what I wanted to do was, I wanted to create this app where the idea was an app that you can go in and see how you compare to like other representatives, right? And it wasn't just like one of those apps where, or the websites you go onto and it's like, hey, what do you think about abortion? Or what do you think about big government? Or what do you think about this, right? And then it tries to say, hey, you should vote for this person, I wanted the app needed to be something that was like based on like things that you actually care about and real data, right? So not just kind of these like abstract ideas, so it was like, all right, well, how do we get people, how do I know what maybe Jared feels about, HB 25 or whatever, whatever bill that might be, I don't know. But then at the same time, it's like, well, your average person, they have like no real understanding of what's going on, and at like the city level, at the county level, school board, state, right? It's like, so how can I get this information to people, simplify it to a point where they can interact with it, right? And then at that point, I can say, hey, based off of what you think about this local issue, now I can compare you to, say, your city council members based off of their voting records, right? And so then at that point, when you go to the polls, right, you go to vote for someone, you have actionable data. It's not just like, hey, vote for John Doe because I believe in being, I'm a fiscal conservative, whatever that might be, right? Or I love freedom, or whatever the current buzzword is. You can go to the polls and you can pull up the app and say, hey, based off of me kind of participating in politics, in my local politics, I know that the current incumbent John Doe represents me. We agree 40% of the time.
So
versus
it's kind of like Cupid.com, but for politics.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Political Tinder. Okay. I'm looking at these apps. There's a handful of polities in the Apple App Store.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like South Africa has a polity, or Africa in general. I don't know if it's South Africa or Africa. So for the listeners and yours truly, how do I find your app? What's the best way?
So right now it is not in any of the app stores.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So to get it, you just go to polity.app, polity.app.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, like, Polity is still a work in progress, right? Like it's still very much being worked on. It's not completed, but it is in like a beta form, right?
Mm-hmm.
To where you can go on, it's fully functioning. There's a ton of data that's available on there. So on your Android phone, if you go there, there's a, like, if you go to your menu, then I think there's like an add to home screen. And then on iPhone, it's like a similar process. But because it's what's called a progressive web app. So it's an actual app that you can download to your phone, but it's not like a native Android or iOS app right now.
So it's not an app store app, but it's an app that you pull in from the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. And I like the idea of just viewing voting records,
Yeah.
Let's say there's two people running that you really like the message of both of them. And you can look and see, if one's an incumbent, you can see, how they fare on the message. Is it rhetoric or do they put it into practice? And if the other one has done some, held a different office, you can look at their voting record. I like that.
Yeah. And it's not just voting records that we have on there, like right now we only have mostly state data, right? But all the state legislators, we have their voting records, we have all the bills that they sponsor, we have, like a chart where you can see, hey, here's how many bills they sponsored, here's how many passed, here's how many failed. You can even compare legislators to other legislators to see like which legislators kind of vote the same on things.
Mm-hmm.
And even all their financial data. So if you want to go through and see who's given them money, you want to see what they spend their money on, all that data is in there. And there's, for the most part, the financial data is kind of boring, but there is some spicy stuff in there. There's one guy who, I don't know if you guys know what World of Warcraft is.
World of Warcraft, the video game?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a state legislator who spent like $300 on the World of Warcraft subscription.
Hold the phone. Hold on. We got to dig in a little more.
Sure.
Is he an orc or an elf?
Okay.
Asking the real questions.
Now, World of Warcraft doesn't cost $300, right?
No, but
I mean, I played it probably, I don't know, 15 years ago I played it.
Yeah, as did I. Yeah,
It became too much like a real job, so I quit.
yeah.
But you buy the game. The game's probably, $80 to $100. Is there a subscription involved? Where did that 300 go? Was he
Subscription? Yeah, because if you remember, there's a $15 a month subscription.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this guy is using his political campaign contributions, right, to pay for a World of Warcraft subscription.
Does he justify saying he's running around asking people for votes in there or something?
That's a good question. Because I actually met with Stuart Adams a couple of months ago, and I was kind of showing him Polity. And I showed him that the state legislator is Joel Briscoe. And so I showed him Joel Briscoe.
Is he a young guy, an old guy? Where are we standing age-wise here?
Older guy. Definitely older.
Really? Like,
yeah.
Okay. 40s, 50s, where are we at?
I would say 50s to 60s.
Wow.
Good, not old yet.
Maybe even
the
no,
Warcraft,
actually, no. He's got to be in his early 70s.
Oh, and he's hit, or do you think he's got like a grandkid that comes into the office and he just wants him to shut up?
I don't know. See, so it's like I don't know, because when they report their finances, okay, or their expenditures, it's like, hey, here's what I spent my money on, and here's why. Okay. So if you look at his expenditures, and if you do a search for Blizzard Entertainment on Polity, then it will show up, and they have it listed. The purpose is a web page function. Okay. And when I first saw that, I'm like, as a developer, right? I'm like, web page function, like that makes absolutely no sense to me. Maybe there's some other Blizzard Entertainment out there. So I, looked for anything Blizzard Entertainment website related, came up with absolutely nothing. And then of course it shows the monthly fee, which is, it's like $16 and like 14 cents or whatever, $15 plus taxes, right? So, my conclusion is I am like 98% positive that this is a World of Warcraft subscription. It's the only thing that it can be. Monthly, $15 a month to a Blizzard Entertainment. What else is it going to be?
I just got to say that's awesome. A 70-year-old man grinding away, beating up the monsters. Now I want to know what he is.
He's got my vote.
I want to know what he is now. Is he one of the scantily clad elves? Or?
Yeah, the elves, or is he a big orc? I mean, I don't know. You might have to resubscribe to World of Warcraft to find out.
Run around looking for the good senator. Oh man.
I hope he's lawful good, of course.
I wonder if his name on there is something like old what was the Rittenhouse's name on his TikTok was 4 doors more whores. The senator probably has like a comical name. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting to find out.
Yeah. But anyways,
we'll start digging on that one, won't we, Jared?
You will. I don't understand half the stuff going on there. I'm out of that game a little too far, I think.
But the difference between a scantily clad elf versus a overweight orc.
Well, this was 15 years ago when I played it. It's a long time. I remember when I played it, I was a green guy that had a Jamaican voice or Jamaican accent.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, the trolls, right? Yeah,
something like that. I wasn't. It's a skinny guy, and I don't know why anyone hasn't screamed racist about it yet. I don't know. Now I'm going to start a new fury on the internet. The latest thing.
Trolls' life matter.
Yeah, that everyone's mad about. The magic cards.
Yeah.
They're doing away with one of their. My son plays Magic. I don't, but they're doing away with one of their monsters on there because of, you know, racism. So
Oh, jeez.
you just got to shake your head. Like, the thing's a big green monster, and I don't know.
It must offend someone, I
Uh,
guess. I don't know
everything.
who.
Everything offends someone.
Yeah.
Everything, you know. But I don't know. I think that's I like that you can dig into finances. Does it show you where their contributions come from?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's another big important one too.
Yeah.
As you look into more of this politics, there's a fulcrum. Once it gets past so many people, our constituents, it seems like the money contributed passes away from nominal people that they actually represent, and it moves into more people who are looking for their vote and can buy it territory. And I think that's something that's interesting to look into.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some, it's kind of crazy because I have a ton of data in there, but I don't really get the opportunity to look at it in depth, because I'm usually like got my head buried in like code or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the few things that I have found is mainly due to like me just fixing bugs or whatever. Like that's how I came across the World of Warcraft thing. So it's like when you have like some of these people, and there's also a lot of money that comes in from outside the state. Like I want to say one of the biggest contributors to like Planned Parenthood, for instance. This is all data that's in Polity. It comes from some woman in like Wyoming. And I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but
She's
so
like,
it's
I'm tired of being in the least populated state. Damn you, Utah. I'm coming for your numbers.
but yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like there's all this money that comes from outside the state into, and goes to a lot of these politicians. And then it just kind of depends on you as an individual, what's your opinion on something like that,
Mm.
So,
Well, that's where that Citizens United, the Republicans, they really need to wear a mark of shame for pushing that through back in the, what was it, early 90s.
citizens, yeah, I've heard of that. I'm super familiar with the term, but I don't really know much about like what it's about.
Well, it's where it kind of codified that corporations can donate money into political ventures. The
Okay.
Democrats were trying to push to make it an individual thing where
Yeah.
contributions had to be done individually. Now, obviously, a lot of arguments could be made as to why corporations having a voice might be good, but it just muddies the waters real bad. It just,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I would hate to be the one to make that choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those things where like personally I'm kind of conflicted on, right? Because it's like corporations, they absolutely do and should have representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any group of people should have some form of representation. But at what point is it like, I guess where it's probably crossing the line, right, is when corporations are writing the law to benefit them and push other people out.
Yep.
Right.
I agree. I would like to see corporations, their voice and representation is getting out there and trying to sell the people on what they've got going on. Maybe that'd be the best way.
Yeah, I agree.
Make corporations make them better citizens and stewards so that the people want to keep the corporation around because they're that valuable.
Yeah. 100%. I don't find anything disagreeable with that at all.
Yeah, a corporation can make a Republican a communist, and the best example I can give you is the corn syrup in Coca-Cola for America, American Coca-Cola, but everywhere else in the world it's sugar. And the reason why is because corporations lobby the Marco Rubios and those individuals and literally stop the import of sugar from occurring in a free market society. So, there's good and bad about representation, especially when it comes to the dollar bill.
Yeah, no, that's a really good example. Kind of the other thing that just kind of popped in my mind was, it's almost like when you buy something, it's like John Deere, for instance. I don't know if you're familiar with the John Deere tractors and how the farmers can't repair them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just recently that got overturned. So I think they can do it now as of like a week ago or something. But it's like, if you buy something, right, that should be your property and you should be able to do what you please with it.
Yeah, it was like everyone took Microsoft's playbook and said, oh, I mean, BMW had it with their cars. So you buy the car, it comes fully loaded with everything. And then you have to pay a subscription to have the air conditioner or cruise control. Seriously, it was shit like that. And John Deere was doing that. They were making it so that now a lot of car companies have did that for a long time through their dealerships, where in order to maintain your warranty, you had to go back to a dealership affiliated with that car company. And that's been going on forever. I mean, that's been probably going on since the 20s, but yeah, that's insane. And that's bad stewardship.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have to try to, milk every penny out of your customer you can forever? I mean, Bill Gates, I'm not looking at you for inventing this model, but come on, man.
Yeah. That's one thing that just, oh man, it just drives me nuts when corporations do that. It's, and you look at someone like John Deere. I imagine, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about like the tractor industry. I don't, but I imagine the reason they can get away with it is probably because, they own probably a massive market share. And who else can go in there and compete with them, and what laws are in place that prohibits someone from making a tractor competitor or something. I don't know.
Let's forget about the entry into the market being out of hand, but let's say your average small farm tractor will out the gate cost $70,000. I mean, an actual farm, not the little toy ones, but and some of the competitors on the market, Lamborghini is a tractor maker,
Are you like for real? Is that like really a thing?
You didn't know that?
Tractors? No, I had no idea.
Lamborghini and Ferrari are both tractor companies that make cars for fun.
What? Are you for real?
For real.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I know you can buy a Lamborghini for Bitcoin, so maybe you can buy some tractors for Bitcoin as well.
Sure, but tractors are expensive. They're highly specialized pieces of equipment. And I know they're huge, but Lamborghini and Ferrari are tractor companies.
That's interesting. I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense. Like, did BMW start as like an airplane company, or like they made airplane engines or something like that?
Well, yeah, or I don't know if BMW started as an airplane company. I mean, I know Mitsubishi did.
Yes, BMW was a German airplane maker. Their little emblem is actually, it's the symbolism of a propeller moving in motion.
Oh.
And they used to build airplanes for Hitler. And I guess they were pretty good ones too.
Yeah, well, I think that's how VW started. They made cars for Hitler, right?
Yes.
VW was a company that was designed by the Fuhrer to make cars for people.
Oh
He,
yeah, did they? It was like the people's.
The
They had
people's
the people's cars. Isn't that what they called
people's
it, or
car,
something like that?
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
hired a guy named Porsche and said, make this car. So Porsche said, oh shit, what do we do? He went to Italy and copied an Italian car and put it out as a people's car.
Some of those Nazis made off kind of nice in the end, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to go into that. What's that actress lady's name? That said she's getting rid of her Tesla and buying a VW because she doesn't like it when a tyrant makes a car.
Alyssa Milano.
Yeah,
Alyssa.
just throwing it out there. Yeah, that's her name. Yeah, another.
So Ben, let me ask you this: can this app work in multiple political environments, like libertarians, Democrats, maybe communists, and Green Party? I repeat myself.
Yes. The way the way we're kind of putting the app out there is anyone can use it. We're not restricting it to any group, any single person. So regardless of what your political party is, it's literally open to everyone, and what we're, as we gather this data, we try and simplify the data where we can with machine learning, right? So kind of the idea is, let's centralize all political data into one location, simplify it so anyone can understand it, and then just put it out there and then let people make up their own minds, what they will about it. So that's kind of, the big idea, that we only have right now loaded in there mainly state data. We do have like just about every city, county, school board. We have like we have all of their meetings in there, so you can actually search through all of it. In fact, like, we track over 2,000 government entities or bodies here in Utah. And we gather all their meeting documents, all of their video and audio recordings, all of that, and we make it all like text searchable. So for instance, if you wanted to say like, hey, like if there was a certain topic that you were passionate about, right? Like say like the transgender stuff, right? That's kind of a big thing going on. So it's like, I want to know if they discuss like transgender issues at the school board, and at state, right? Then you can search that in Polity Big Search, and you can create an alert. And then if they discuss that issue, Polity will notify you and say, hey, they're discussing it. Here's like either the snippet of the document we found this in, or here's a snippet of the actual conversation that they had in their meeting. As well, like here's a link, you can click on the link and it will take you like right to that point in the meeting. You can either read it or hit play and listen to or watch, them discuss it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a pretty cool tool.
I'm digging through it right now. It seems rather easy to use. Now, once you click beyond kind of the highlights of the bills, it gets into the thick stuff where you got to wade through the muck and and the mosquitoes are eating you. But it's got the bills here. I think it's a good thing to where it shows that if I should show it on screen so people can get a look at it. I'm going to do that right now. I think it's a good thing, whereas it shows kind of the political party that's putting the bill in and the co-sponsor and all of that, but it's on screen right now so that people can see what we're looking at. But then again, I think that's been one of our issues, is that we've gone where political parties matter more than the message, but or more than the bill. Sometimes, I mean, like there's this joint resolution for gender reassignment, surgical health. That, that's going to have some pretty big separations in it.
Yeah. And you really kind of hit on a theme, right? That I'm trying to tackle with polity, which is, you have like your average person, all right? Your average person, they know if they're going to lean left or to the right, but at the same time, it's like, so, okay, let me back up a little bit. Okay. So in polity, right, I like when I first built it, I was going through and I was giving feedback on like legislation stuff that I cared about. Okay. And so as I was going through and providing this feedback, there's another portion of polity where you can view like all the state legislators. And what that screen will do is if you've provided feedback on things, it will rank or it will show you how each one of those legislators aligns with you. All right. One kind of interesting thing that I found was like, I'm more conservative. So obviously there was Republicans they were like my top alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the people that I disagreed with the most were other Republicans. And there was even some there was like 2 Democrats that, I kind of aligned with. And that really shocked me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, these Democrats, they're actually kind of moderate Democrats. And these other Republicans, I hate to say they're not, I hate to say they're not like, Republicans, but, there might be some questionable stuff going on there,
Well, Ben, don't tease us, but what was the topic that you searched?
Oh, so it wasn't a topic. It was just like me providing feedback on legislation. So for instance, like, okay, so just kind of as an example, the couple of years ago, there was the concealed carry law that went through, right? Where it's like
HB 60.
Yeah, you don't need to have, a concealed carry permit if you're, if you can lawfully carry a gun, right? So for that one, I was like, hey, you know what? This is something I agree with. Okay. And then there was, say like the transgender sports. Okay. It's like, hey, that's another thing I agree with, right? Like, I don't think transgender students should compete with, the opposite sex or however you look at it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm providing feedback on these different things, what Polity does on the back end is it takes my feedback and it compares all of my feedback with any politician who has voted on any of those issues. So as I provide feedback on more things, it really kind of refines which politicians I align with and which ones I don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So that's where, I pulled up that list of all the state legislators. I looked at it and I'm like, hey, there's like some of these Republicans I don't agree with like at all, just based off of these few things that I provided feedback on. And that's directly due to their voting records.
Yeah. Right now I'm looking at one of our state reps. I'm looking at Bridger Belinders. And this was his freshman session, so it's going to be a thin record to look through. Boy, they do have a lot of bills as in one session.
Yeah.
A lot of bills.
And here's the crazy thing to think about. Okay. Those are only the bills that I show kind of in those charts and polity. Those are only the bills that actually made it out of committee. Okay. So we're talking about, I think this last session, they had over 900 bills. I don't know how many were in committee, but I don't think it would be an exaggeration to guess that they probably had something like 13 or 1400 bills.
Oh, until you get to talk to one of these guys you really don't appreciate all that they do. I mean, that's a heavy burden to take on. Once a year, you pretty much have to dislocate yourself from everything you do in regular life and sit down and read War and Peace again, and then decide each chapter if you like it.
And it's crazy to think that, you know, how could any one person be informed, right?
Yeah.
How can you as a state legislator be informed on this like myriad of topics and issues? You know, and that kind of gets into, you know, how legislators actually vote on things, which is a whole massive topic. But yeah, I mean, it almost feels unreasonable. There's an unreasonable amount of legislation that comes every single year, and it is impossible for anyone to like vote on it and be informed, you know, about what it is that they're actually voting on, the particulars.
That's a tough
Hey,
thing.
Ben,
It tells you,
let me ask you this, Ben.
1 second. I just want to say it tells you that our government is doing too much. They're involved in too much. They're trying to either adjudicate or reinforce too much. When they've got to go in there once a year and look through I think when Bridger came in here, he said 460 bills. What?
Yeah.
You can't read that.
No,
That's just
impossible.
too much. So break it down. You know, don't make it so that it's a state, especially not a federal government issue, all these little things, you know. How about we'll go to the transgenders in sports things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we let that be handled on a school district basis, you know? And then if it comes to a head and it comes to a crisis when it comes to a state playoffs, well, then we may have to sit and look at that. And the school district gets to decide. Maybe there's no more state playoffs, you know?
Yeah.
You just win your district or regional championships and let it be handled at that. And then it's no longer on the state. There's 462 bills they have to look at. And then we can boil it down further and further.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, let me ask you this. Can Polity separate or create a methodology for maybe delegates to reach out to their representatives and provide feedback and information directly to them?
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the next things that, you know, we plan on building in Polity, is a way for, so like right now, anyone can sign up, right? But as a politician, there's no way to kind of claim your profile, right? We just have like this data on you. But kind of one of the things that we're going to build is, you know, a politician could come on, sign up, and they can kind of claim their profile in a certain sense, okay? They can't alter their voting record or the data we have on them, but they can use that as a way to communicate directly with their constituents or, you know, with delegates, right?
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, you know, as we bring on more people to Polity, a politician, you know, let's say you decided to run for office, right? You want to run for, I don't know, city council or county commissioner or something, okay? What you could do is inside Polity, you could see exactly how well you actually represent your constituents or your potential constituents, right? Because people in your community, they're participating. Now you as a potential politician or even an incumbent, you can say, hey, I want to see kind of this demographic data on how well I am actually representing these people. And then, you know, you might look at that and be like, hey, like I do a pretty good job representing 70% of these people. You know, I'm going to run for office. So it's like, yeah, you know, I do maybe represent 20% somewhat decently, like maybe not. So yeah, there are tools that we're going to build that will help like politicians get kind of data as far as how well people, how well they're representing their constituents, as well as a way for them to communicate with, the people themselves. Because in Polity, we actually have like, you can go onto any bill and you can put a comment on there, okay? And you can make a comment. But the unique thing with Polity is only verified registered voters are able to make comments.
Mm.
And the reason we do that is to make sure that there's no anonymity on the platform, because we don't want to create like a Facebook, right? You go on Facebook and you talk politics, and it's going to be like probably, for the most part, one of the least constructive conversations you're going to have in regards to politics.
What? Well, and that way you won't
Yeah.
have Russian bots getting on there supporting the bill that makes it illegal to import a Russian blonde bride and depleting them of their future. Yeah. But seriously, I mean, also, if you leave the tool open like that to where a record can be left, you could get a lot of people trying to put a message out there that doesn't represent the community. You could get a lot of, let's just call it communists from up in Washington State saying, oh yeah, I'm going to get in there and adjust Utah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, are you looking at maybe putting, when bills are proposed, a way to grab those and put them up there so that people can, the regular constituents, the people who can read and really want to dig into it, can look through it and maybe give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And that way, if you are a rep or a delegate or whatever, you can sit and go, I'm undecided on this. I'm going to represent what the people say most.
Yeah. And so kind of yes and no, right? So right now, I mean, we're out of the legislative session, right? But if we have a special session, or the next session rolls around, Polity will automatically get all those new bills, and put them in. The problem is we can only get the bills like once they're publicly available. Getting bills while they're in committee and before they get assigned like an actual bill number, I've tried to get that data, but it's basically not feasible as of right now to get that information, because the only people who really have that are the people who are actually authoring the bills.
Yeah.
So that's going to be like some of the legislators,
the mail clerk at the lobbyist firm. I get it.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's doing the rough draft in a crayon, and then it goes to the next floor up, and a stenographer types it, and then the next floor and an editor reads it, and yeah.
All right. So you've seen exactly how the process is done, it sounds like.
Who knew? All right, I've switched over. Now I've got a blackberry White Claw first nip.
Well, I guess we'll find out if that's more promising.
It still tastes like horse piss.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's awful. But yeah, this I don't know. I'm digging through your I'm digging through your site here, and I'm putting it back on screen for everyone. And I might just let it roll for a minute.
Ben, will your app be available on the app stores anytime soon?
Probably, I don't know. It depends on what you mean by anytime soon. So let me put this. So as of right now, probably not. And the reason is just strictly because like Polity is still very beta, right? And we haven't pushed Polity like at all, right? So it's mainly been just like word of mouth, kind of people who jump on there and find it for the most part. So once we get some money start coming in, or some potential funding, then yes, it will be on the App Store, because at that point, it's more than just really kind of me doing the development on it. So that's kind of the, what's the holdup right now as far as it being on the App Store.
So does it actually cost money to put an app on the App Store, like a subscription or something to that agency?
Yeah, it costs money, as well as probably the biggest factor is development, right? Because I would have to develop the app for iOS and develop it for Android as well. Kind of the easy middle ground for me to go was just to do it as a progressive web app, which kind of covers both bases, but not really, so that was kind of the thinking behind just doing it as a website instead of going just directly to the app stores.
Well, I definitely think you got a positive product. I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've never had a job, and I use that term kind of loosely, where the first thing I want to do when I wake up is I want to work. It's like a weird feeling to have. It's like, oh, like I don't want to go to sleep because I want to work, and when you wake up, it's like I want to get right to it. But yeah, there's a lot of cool information on there, especially if you go to like the big search and search for some, whatever you want in there. Definitely find a lot of interesting conversations at various government meetings.
I'll have to check. Right now I'm looking at our local senator, our state senator, Dan Thatcher. It looks like he's been in office for 12 years now. So he's definitely got a lot more bills to flow through. Look at his voting record. Now, obviously, I haven't put any information into this yet, so you won't see if he and I align on a lot. Which, obviously we know Dan and we like Dan, and there is going to be some misalignment here and there, but this would be interesting to dig through if one night you wanted to really dig in and see where you were.
Yeah, like Dan Thatcher and I actually, I would say he's someone that I agree with more than other legislators, just looking at him here. But yeah, we also have like all of his conflicts of interest, which it doesn't look like he really has any. And that's another thing, it's like you can look at all of the legislators, their conflicts of interest.
Where do you find that at? The conflicts of interest.
So if you're still looking at Dan Thatcher, if you click on the about on the left-hand side, and then towards the bottom,
this
is conflicts of interest.
Yeah. It doesn't show any. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he says Utah State Senator. So like, I'll show you something interesting on another guy. So if you go back to legislators on the left.
Okay.
And then type in Jerry.
G?
Jerry, Jerry Stevenson.
Okay.
All right. So pull him up and then look at his conflicts of interest. So like J&J Gardens, like the plant nursery. So he owns it. So he owns that nursery. At least I assume he owns it. It says he's president, CEO. He's got a lot of J&J stuff here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you see where it says money on the left-hand side?
Yep.
Okay, so go ahead and click on that.
Okay.
And do you see a blue button that says load all years?
Load all years. All right, give me 1 second. There we go. Okay.
All right. Now click on where it says expenses.
Okay.
All right. And in the search, type in J space and J.
All right. And that's the and symbol, correct?
Don't spell and out.
Okay. Okay. J&J Produce.
All right. Do you see where it says total at the top?
Yeah, $37,029.30.
Yeah. So that's $37,000 of his political contributions that he has spent at his own business.
Like
Now,
buying a fruit plate for whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and some of these might be like legitimate things, but I mean,
Yeah.
like if you scroll down not very far, Senate party chocolates for Senate. So he spent $810 on chocolates at his own business.
Wow.
Oh, I got to contact this.
That's a sacrifice.
At a nursery. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like $37,000 of your political contributions is a lot of money to spend at your own business. And I'm not trying to sit here and judge the guy because I don't know kind of the context around a lot of this stuff, but I think it definitely raises some potential ethical concerns.
Well, like here, you've got campaign expenses, $4,741.94. That could be maybe through his produce company, he advertised himself. Okay.
Exactly.
Shady.
Yeah. Or he used his business card to pay for it. Yeah.
Gray and shady travel expenses. Yeah. Probably used like his business card or his business bank to pay for travel expenses and got paid back. Senate flowers. I don't know if they have flowers at this nursery. Senate flowers, donations. What is this donations part?
Jared, he could have spent some money at Your State of Chocolate creating chocolate business cards.
That's right. But hold on, this Senate flowers and donations. How does donations reimbursement work on that?
Yeah, and that's I don't know.
Did his company donate to another senator, or worst case scenario himself?
Or maybe they donated flowers to the Senate floor or something. I don't know.
Okay.
They put flowers up around. I mean, anyways, but it's it's like there's again. I'm trying to be careful about how I judge something like this, but it's like there's a line that kind of that needs to be drawn. This does not look good. It does not look good. I mean, it's like Joel Briscoe and the World of Warcraft, right? It's against the law for him to actually do that. Like you can't take your political contributions and spend it on yourself.
Yeah.
Or, you can't spend it. You can't take that money and just give it to your own business, and there's other things, it's like if you look at some of the politicians that bring in a lot of money and you see how they spend a lot of their money on hiring like their own family members to do things, it's like I paid $100,000 to my brother because he did accounting for my campaign. I mean, it's I could get on my soapbox and talk a lot about this, but there's the money, the amount of money that goes through some of these politicians can be quite concerning.
Well, it screams of Dick Cheney and Halliburton. If you want to look at the Republican side, Democrat side, it screams of Joe Biden's brother and running Iraq right after Cheney was out, which is, I mean, that's another thing to think about. Halliburton,
the Clinton Foundation.
Halliburton gets moved in to Iraq to manage all of the reconstruction.
Yeah.
While Cheney is vice president. Right. Yeah. And then the minute Cheney's out, you know, and not on the public stage shooting his buddy in the face while they're pheasant hunting. The minute he's out, Biden gets in, and his brother, ostensibly a family business, takes over that. It seems like the quickest way to get rich in the United States is become vice president.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because it's like you see this at like on a massive level at the federal level, right?
Yeah.
But this also happens on the local level, but at just a much smaller scale. Like, and I'm trying to remember who told me this story, but it had to do with like political campaign signs. Gosh, and I'm probably totally butchering this, but there was essentially like this politician who ran for government here in Utah. I want to say it was at like the state level or something, right? And the way they set it up was so that like his brother's like sign company or something to that effect was the one place that was allowed to do like all these political campaign signs. And they made like this absurd amount of money off of it, you know? So it's like, you know, it's just, and don't get me wrong, I hope I don't sound like I'm trying to paint all these politicians as being like, you know, absolutely just corrupt individuals. For the very large majority of politicians that I've met at the state level, you know, city level, you know, wherever, I've actually been very impressed with a lot of them. There's only been like 2 politicians where I was just like, dude, if your constituents could hear you right now, there's no way you would ever be reelected.
Yeah.
But you know, it's kind of interesting because it's like I feel like a lot of politicians, they get elected and they go into office with very good intentions, right? I shouldn't say a lot of politicians. Some politicians, they get elected, they go into office with good intentions, but it's kind of like they get that attitude when you've been at a job for so long to where it's like the rules don't necessarily apply to me, type of a thing, you know. And so you start.
Or they come into conflict like that J&J guy. Let's say he came into conflict that he needs to go to there was an alcohol conference in like New Jersey, right? He needs to go to that. And he's like, man, this is going to be expensive to go. And I get reimbursed for it.
Yeah.
And someone's like, oh, just charge it to your business. And, you know, and then the Senate pays that back. You make it whole with the business. Okay. All right. But I would think as a legislator, I would want to make that clean so that it doesn't reflect that I'm paying back a business I own for travel for the Senate.
Yes. Yeah.
So does that mean, do I go to my own business and I say, all right, I want to assemble the board. Hey guys, you all know that I'm a representative from wherever. I want to go to this alcohol conference in New Jersey. It applies to this. What I would like to do is I would like to get a separate allotment if I've got to take it from the business, if I can't take it from myself.
Yeah.
I want to get a separate allotment so that one, I'm not building or banging credit on the business for state business. You know, those have to be kept separate. And that should be something we need to hold to account.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's gray area legally, you shouldn't be able to accrue, interest or any of that other stuff on the backs of what you're doing for the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Build your credit score on your own time.
Of course, we're also talking about the people who have privilege to insider trade and make millions of dollars while they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is this just in Utah right now? The Polity?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just in Utah. Utah's kind of our beta, beta testing area.
Yeah, plans on pushing it out though.
Yeah, we do have plans to push it out to all 50 states eventually.
Jesus, can you imagine what Biden's is going to look like? Like, honestly, he's been in office for 7,400 years.
Give or
Just,
take.
I mean, honestly, the number down at the bottom, like 1, 2, and then it has the arrows. It'll be like 5,300,000 and whatever. If
Yeah.
someone wanted to dig through Biden's stuff, they might be there for a day or two.
Yeah. Well, if you want to spend a day or two on someone's finances, pull up Governor Cox's. He's got
Oh,
yeah, there's if you go to big search at the top and then go to finances on the left.
okay. Big search. Okay. Big search.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then here if you type
finances.
and then
Okay.
type in Spencer Cox and then just hit enter on your keyboard. I need to add an actual search button there, but if you hit enter, it should run a search for you.
Oh, okay.
Can you pull that up on the screen, Jared? So
Yep, it's coming up on the screen right now. Cox is a hot button issue I don't really want to dig into too deep, but okay. So balance transfer $891,010.77.
Yeah. So the balance transfers, I originally tried to filter those out, right? Because they're a little bit misleading. But I ran into a problem where I'm kind of dependent on how politicians actually report that. And so I was getting like some of them, but I wasn't getting others, so I just left them all in. So
what is the balance transfer?
Balance transfer is essentially like at the end of 1 year, he had $891,000 and he transferred that over to his account for the next year.
I say leave him in because we're looking at Spencer Cox. He has been our governor now for what, how long? 2 years?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Yeah. $7 million, 7,076,420.44.
That's a ton of money. And the interesting thing about Cox is, and I had this other graph that I took out, but it would show you kind of like their years, how long they've been in office, right? I might have this back in, and it would show you each year. Well, actually, do this. Go back to state at the top.
Let me ask a question. What's the limit on contribution?
I don't know if there is one.
Because he's getting 50 grand from people just in a hit.
Well, and here's the interesting
federally
thing.
There's a limit of what, $2,000 or something?
Oh, I see.
2,300 or some.
Yeah. And I think it's there might be that same limit as far as like what one person can give someone. But then it's like you have PACs that give money, you have corporations that give money.
Well, he had Jerry Miller or not Jerry Miller, but the Miller automobile, 50 grand. Now, is that over his whole time as a politician? Or is that just...
Yeah. So you can get a little bit more granular on him if you go to the state tab at the top, go back down to legislators, and switch the year. I think it's 2013. Hold on, let me see. Is that when he was switch it to 2013 and do a search for just Cox.
Okay.
He'll come up there. And then once you have him pulled up, click on the money tab.
Okay. So 2013. Let's try 14.
It's 2013.
Did I spell it wrong? SPENCER
Yeah, if you just type in Cox, just his last name, I know that should pull him up.
Okay, Will Cox, Spencer Cox. All right.
Yeah, you got to army proof this, Ben, just so you know.
What was that?
You're going to have to army proof it for Jared.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm on there. We want to look at money.
Money on the left once you clicked on him.
Okay.
And then you look at that chart Okay. And it's like, when
Oh,
was it that he actually ran for office? It was like, what, 2001 or something like that?
something like that. Yeah.
So you have a lot of people starting in 2018
Yeah.
that are giving him money. And then he has this massive spike in 2020,
Which was
2019 and
which was when
2020.
he first ran.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
Uh-huh.
that was before he ran. I think that's when he was
Well,
still
the build
lieutenant
up to
governor.
running, yeah.
Yes, yeah, the build up to running. Yeah.
A war chest, if you will.
Yeah. A war chest is yes.
He's peaking
So
out at like, I don't know, 4.2 million.
yeah, for like 1 year.
Yeah, and he
And then
spent more than he made.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you
I don't
switch
know
to
if in
his
total, but yeah.
let's see. Yeah, if you switch to his expenses, so if you do load all years, click that button again,
Okay.
switch to his expenses,
Okay.
and then type in his last name again, just Cox in the expenses.
I've still got him pulled up.
Yeah.
So he spent 759,184 and 94 cents.
Did
Oh,
you click on load all years?
yeah.
Okay. Did you click on expenses?
Yes.
And then you just put his last name in, right? Cox, C-O-X in the search.
Um, well, I'm still on his page.
Yeah. You're still on his money page, right?
Yeah, I'm still on his money page.
Yeah. Do you see the search box above the expenses button?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where you put his last name in, and it shows you all this money that he paid his family.
It's not pulling anything up now. Because when
Oh,
I
really?
still on his money page, it's still on his stuff. So David Broadbent, Karen Peterson, Ballard, Spar, Stripe, First Ladies Foundation, QuickBooks, SendGrid. I'm trying to see. Now, it may just be that I don't know what I'm doing here,
It honestly could be a bug, you know?
but it's still on his page.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Uh,
where you should be.
yeah.
So try doing this. Try switching to contributions and then try switching back to expenses.
Okay. Contributions. Okay. Social Hall Properties, Adobe, Cafe Zupas, Rock Taco. Okay, so I am in expenses. Okay, total 6,295,304 and 43 cents. That number I'm
There you
looking at.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
Now to the very left of that little search box,
Uh-huh.
now put his last name in there.
Okay, John Cox. John Cox
What
paid
what's the
himself
what's the total on that now?
$1,174,159.31.
That's a ton of money.
That is a
That
ton of
is
money.
that is a ton
So
of money.
Tanner, is that his kid?
I have no idea.
For signature gathering?
5,000 to Richard Cox for payroll.
So
Another
John
1,300.
Cox, reimbursement fundraiser. Oh, Tanner Cox, signature gathering. Richard Cox, January payroll. Ooh.
So they like to keep it in the family when they do this as a business, I guess, huh?
I mean,
Tanner,
I don't want to make any assumptions.
yeah, what is going on with Tanner? And I mean,
that's
we're
a lot
talking.
of Cox.
We're now this payroll is this payroll for like his election people?
It would have to be. It would have to be some type of payroll for, um, him getting elected. His team or something to
Now,
that extent.
let's say this is for a month. This could be paying for two people. I mean, $6,402 isn't a huge
That's
amount.
true. That's true. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so, I mean, but so did he just hire his brother to be his reelection committee? Which, hey, if it works, I'm not going to knock it.
Yeah.
Lydia Cox, June payroll. Now, you start adding these up. Like, if Richard gets paid that much every month, Lydia gets paid $1,797.44 every month.
Wow.
Yeah. I would really like to look into what is the governor's office expenses looking like. Does any of that bleed over? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to get that.
This is heavy stuff. You look into this and your mind runs away. And you got to kind of pull the reins and get yourself back.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
He's paying Richard that $6,402.17 every month. So he's got to be every month the same amount. So it's got to be open. And he loaned himself some money. Loaned himself $1,568.48.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing with this search on the money is it's a little bit kind of limited, right? So like I'm just playing around with like Richard. If I do Richard A, because he has Richard A. Cox, he has Richard Cox, and then he has Richard A. Cox. Okay. So he has them listed there different times. So if I do Richard A. Cox, that's $51,000. If I do Richard A. Cox, that's another $10,000. So now we're up to what, about 61,000.
What are the months on the different spelling? Are they different months? So we got Richard A.
Over the fact that the guy has a name of Richard Cox. I mean,
it's repetitive, really, when you get down to it,
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm wondering if he's just putting the name in wrong, because we've got a July payroll, Richard A. Cox, August payroll, Richard Cox. And then we go down and then we just got Richard Cox September. Now, could that be, shady, muddy in the waters? It could, but that could also just be
I think it's
what he reports and he puts it in wrong.
Yeah. I think it's just, when it comes down to it, it's just, he's probably not thinking, right?
Yeah.
One month he's like, I'm going to put this in. He's thinking like, be very like exact. Another month, maybe he's, late in the afternoon, Richard Cox or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But kind of the point is like, in order to find all the money that was paid to Richard Cox, like the way I have it right now, it's not the greatest, right? But you have to almost put in those different spellings. And so when you do the 3 different spellings, it's over $100,000, right? That was paid out to Richard Cox.
I'm sure he earned every penny of it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't, why would you think otherwise? I don't know.
It's just, I mean, look, if his brother say has the wherewithal to get him reelected, I fully support. Hire your family member to get you reelected.
Yeah.
If your wife's on there and you're going to pay her, I fully support that, whatever. But man, you've got to really dictate in this purpose line saying, October payroll for reelection committee, chair or whatever. Yeah. You've got, because otherwise it's just, you're just asking to have a moron like me who doesn't know what the hell's going on ask you questions.
Yeah. And all we can do is speculate, obviously he's not here to defend himself,
Yeah.
But, and it's just kind of fun to look at all this data because it definitely makes you wonder, you know, what of this is legitimate and what of it, you know, what parts aren't.
Well, yeah. And I look forward to digging in there, looking at bills are up and voting on them. So it builds a profile on me, which will allow me to have an easier interaction with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
with your AI here, that's going to take over the world. We won't need pundits anymore. Me and Dave will do a fishing show. Dave doesn't fish much, but I'll get him into it.
I'll hold the pole.
He'll hold the pole.
That would be a terrifying day if we got to the point where AI was writing our legislation, but we might not be
not
far off from
writing
that.
it, but if AI was reporting to us,
Yeah,
so that we were informed. Honestly, I mean, could AI be any worse than the political pundits that we have now, such as me and Dave?
you know, you guys do a pretty good job. I don't know.
I just drink and talk
If
shit.
AI had a child, would it name its son Richard Cox?
You know what we could do is we could create an AI based off of you two guys.
That just does its thing.
Yeah, it does its thing, and then you know we get the best of both worlds, right?
Make it so it's powered by alcohol. I don't know.
A lot of makers marks.
I like what you've made here.
Cool.
I do like it.
Yeah, let's.
It also, I mean, I hope that one day you'll be able to venture into where when bills are starting to come out, that people can read them and get ahead of them. I think that's one thing that's severely missing, is that on the little stuff, you know, like, oh, the budgetary stuff, that's stuff that's there. But if we're proposing a bill where we're going to change the legislation that you have to live under, then it would be nice if we had a heads up on that where we could have input, you know?
Yeah.
Those are heavy things. And it seems like bills just get passed and we get told about it after.
Yeah.
Because there's 470 of them.
You mean 900 and something?
Or 900.
That's what the total was over 900 at the end of the session.
Yeah. That's just you know, and so if there was a heads up, you know, you go on your site and search, okay, things that you really want to focus on.
Yeah.
I would like to focus on, you know, anything that has felony tacked onto it. You know, making sure I'm staying my ass out of jail. And then I'd search anything that has misdemeanor. And then I might go down to, you know, the different regulations, you know, but just simple things like that. A way to stay informed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of where, you know, because I can't get that data. It's just not available anywhere. Yeah. And so that's literally the reason why I did the big search and the alerts, because while I can't get that information, I can get the conversations that they're having in those committee meetings. Right.
And so that's good. Yeah. So during the committee meetings, you can put that out, and that can be applied so that, say one of them's on the committee and they can say, look, I don't know which way to go on this.
Yeah.
They can see how the people who are interested, how they're leaning. And I mean, they are representatives, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Maybe senators don't have to look at it because they're senators, but representative, I mean, it's kind of in their dang name.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and so, that was kind of the happy middle ground that I can do, at least that, you know. So, I mean, if you want to know if they're discussing about changing any felony laws, right? Then it's like, if they say that word felony, then it triggers an alert.
You can search and see if the fine or if the legal procedure has felony in it, you know, or you can search up traffic, or, you know, and if there's a change to the driver's license, you can look up stuff like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ben, the truth is, though, that the fact that you have a passion to do this like some
Yeah.
sort of a genetic desire to
Disease.
want to build
Disease.
this.
He has not a desire, a disease to want to.
Right, like chipmunks berry nuts. Ben is building this app, right?
And unlike
So we can
everyone
find
else
out
in the
that-
world,
that
everyone
Mr.
else in the
Cox's
world,
brother named Richard.
everyone else in the world went into coding and said, I'm going to help people see naked pictures of other people. And Ben said, no, going beyond that, going deep, going hard. We're going to let them see politicians.
Oh man, which is arguably probably a lot more dirtier.
Oh, dude, hands down. Hands down. I mean, you know, the definition of dirty money. I mean, OnlyFans, that's probably the cleanest money out there. But
Oh man,
dude, you should have named it.
Next, you're going to have to show me the transactions on FTX if you can get a hold of those.
Is it too late to change the name? Because like only politicians or something like that. It's a missed opportunity.
Oh man, that's true. Dang.
Or say what it really is. Only whores. You type in only whores and it goes to a political page. I would have fallen straight out of the chair.
Yeah, horrititions.app.
You got to have the only in there, or politician hub or something, leaning right into that.
Well, maybe someone who picks up those domains can do a redirect to Polity. I don't know.
Seriously, dude, that's what we need to do, Dave. That's what we need to do.
We'll get our 1,000 TikTok viewers somewhere.
Yeah, but hey, man, no, this is awesome stuff you've got going on here, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. So,
Oh, I bet. So we got one comment to read through. Neil says, great discussion. You are definitely who I listen to. No AI. Well, thank you, Neil. Neil is
I appreciate that.
Neil is a good friend. He's also a politician himself.
oh, is he? Cool.
And so you know what? I might
Let's
go
Google
in.
Neil. Let's go in.
I'm
look
an
him up.
Polity Neil.
What's Neil's last name?
Critchlow.
Oh, I'm not sure how to spell that.
Okay. I will. Okay, it's CRITCHLOW.
Hey Neil, you better not have a brother named Richard who you pay $100,000 a year to.
All right. So is he Wasatch Front Regional Council,
Nope.
Grantsville City Council?
That's him.
He's Grantsville City Mayor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay, Mayor.
Yep.
He was city council.
He
though.
was City Council. Yes.
So I just did a search for him in Big Search, and I
Uh-huh.
got 71 hits.
Neil, you're showing up.
Yeah, it looks like a
Oh.
lot of these hits are Grantsville City Council meeting minutes.
Mhm.
Let's see. Oh, here's someone who was talking about him. I met with Neil Critchlow, the mayor of Grantsville. We were working on a memorandum of understanding with the Grantsville City. We have one with Twila City. Anyways, it goes on. But that was a conversation that's what someone said in the Twila County School District Board meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
January, February, March. Looks like March 13th. But yeah, so while I do have probably a lot of data on him, I just don't have it published beyond anything in Big Search.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're building the site, so it'd be good to dig down to neighbors. And Neil, we want to reach out to you, have you come on the show again soon and give us an update on Grantsville, the land from which I hail. But yeah, no, this is good stuff. It's especially good to, I mean, even on your city council level, it'd be nice to know what's going on with your city council, what changes are going on there, what are they discussing, things like that. This would be a good addendum to showing up to the to the meeting and listening to the council meeting.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll get there. We'll be able to tie in like the minutes or the announcements in with like the packets that the city council members typically get in with their voting records. Like we'll be able to tie all of that together, to make it kind of comprehensive for what's going on at the city level. So should be
outstanding. Where are you storing all this data?
Various servers. I don't know if you can see this big screen behind me, but basically on these top screens up here is where the data is stored. So
well, I don't have I've got you clipped out. I've got that clipped out, but yeah, because I've got zoomed in on your pretty face. So, but yeah, that is a big screen up there.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, this is a big overview of everything going on with Polity Live.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Can you tell how many members you have so far? Things like that?
Not on this screen. Another screen. I mean, right now I probably only have around 250 people, beta testers. We're super small, but we're hoping. I'm working on a couple of features, finishing hopefully in a week or so, and then we're probably going to start doing some social media pushes with some of the data that we have, and we'll kind of see how that goes and hopefully pick up.
Let us know when you do. Let us know. Okay, we definitely want to push it out there with you.
That'd be great.
This is good stuff.
And if you guys
plug us too while you're on, if you have an advertising feature.
Yeah, we don't have any advertising, anything like that yet. I don't know if we will. It just kind of depends on the monetization route. But one thing I'll definitely do is, I appreciate you guys having me on. And one thing I'll do is I'll send you some like discount codes for a subscription to get you guys hooked up, and you can play around with Big Search. And if you find it useful, then use it. So
perfect. Yeah. And as far as making revenue on this, OnlyFans has a thing where they sell their models. So maybe you could become like the quick lobbyist route where you sell your models, the politicians, and people come to them and, listen to me, I'll pay you $5. I'm just kidding. This is a terrible idea. I think it'd be more honest if they, if the politicians sold pictures of themselves, then their ear.
We are a show of terrible ideas. We're full of them.
Yeah, well, I don't
know. Some of these ideas seem pretty sound to me. So
I'm a White Claw and a half into tonight. I do not suggest pineapple, folks. That is not the black cherry. I wouldn't buy it myself.
Well, kind of speaking of money, all this data, we are giving all this data available to the public for free. The only exception is the Big Search. The Big Search, you can test out a few searches on it, and then it kind of cuts you off. But once I finish some development, hopefully this week, then Big Search will be just kind of plan on charging people $4.95 a month, and that gives them unlimited queries on Big Search, as well as we can alert them to any like keywords that they want to be notified about. So if the city council is talking about something you care about, right, we can notify you, or school board, notify you, state, at whatever level of government, essentially, we can notify you. So that's kind of how we plan on monetizing it. But we haven't, pushed that at all yet. So it's coming.
Yeah. And that could be a big subscription for news outlets and things like that. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of our happy medium, right? Because you just want to build a tool that helps. At the end of the day, Polity is going to be a tool that helps people get informed and participate in the political process at any level of government, right? That's the end goal. That's what we want to do. Get people involved in local politics in an easy manner. One spot, you get all your data. So
No,
yeah,
that's outstanding.
that's basically it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, again, I appreciate you having me on, and
Yeah,
I'll send you guys some discount codes that you can use in Polity. So
yeah, shoot it over. Everyone, this is Ben Garrett with the Polity.app. Just go on to Google, Bing, Brave, whatever your search engine is, and just put it in there. It's rather easy to use. Right now it's in beta testing, so you might run into some hiccups. I definitely think an app like this, the more users that get in, the more that filter in, and not just for looking up what my legislature is doing, but I think looking at the bills and giving them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I think that's the ideal way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
any way that we can contribute as citizens and provide our voice to our representatives is a positive thing from my perspective.
Yeah, it's called democracy in action.
there you go.
All right, everyone, have a good week. Me and Dave, just quick cliff notes. If you don't mind, we went to the Republican convention last weekend. Had a good time. Listened to Governor DeSantis from Florida speak. I don't know. It was, of course, an off year, so wasn't overly populated. Not enough delegates showed up. We know Twilla had a hiccup with filtering their delegates in, but we'll bring Holly on and she can talk about that if there's further insights on that. But there was a flag vote in there that apparently has caused a little bit of a ruckus, right, Dave?
Well, I wouldn't say a little bit. I mean, some people were getting their blood pressure elevated for sure. I was thinking that was probably the biggest event at the Republican convention was the flag vote, the vote for whether or not the Republican Party will utilize the new flag for their conventions and whatnot. But I mean, even though the Republican delegates did vote to say, "Hey, let's save our flag," it's not going to stop it in the overall scheme of the big government. It's going to happen. The lords and masters that are representing us have voted within themselves to build this new flag, and it would have been nice as citizens to be able to have more of a voice in this, but it is what it is. And this is how things work. Carry on. I mean, what more can we do as citizens of Utah?
Ben, do you have any thoughts on the flag debate?
I like the old flag.
Those are simple.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. So
yeah.
I'm a fan of the old one.
I have since we had Bridger on and Bridger explained to me why the new flag push came about, I have softened on the idea of a new flag. I'm still not a new flagger, as we would call it. I'm not a flagger. Flag it.
And I think that's probably how I am as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm not I don't take a hard line on it, but at the same time, it's like I'm definitely for the old flag. I think the new flag looks nice, but it's for me, it's more about, I don't know. It's like there's history, there's history with that old flag, and that should be preserved.
My big thing with it is probably that it was just foisted on us.
Yeah.
And that's my big thing. Like, here you go. Live with it.
How many people were asking for a new flag? I don't personally, I don't know anyone. But
one person was, but then I think had what is it, McRae? Is that his name?
McGay?
Had he come out and did any kind of social media push, like, this is why I want to do it. I think if he'd have got some buy-in from the people, this would have passed with a dang parade. But where it just kind of got foisted on us, it kind of, but anyways, neither here nor there. My big question is, do you think, how many years down the road do you think it is before the Republican Party has to at a convention say, we need to switch to the new flag because we literally can't find old flags anymore, and the lady who used to sew it is retired. We're going to run into that.
Yeah.
Or to have an old flag specialty made is just going to be ridiculous. So I think it was a vote kind of putting their foot down, which, okay, but I think it's going to have a consequence down the road that, I mean, thank God it'll probably be someone else that deals with it, but it's going to make us today look awful stupid. It just is. Arguing that, hey, we're not going to go along with our state. We're going to stand alone. It's just going to be an argument. But anyways, that was the big thing came out of there. It was a pretty good time. I wish they served beer. That's it. Yeah.
Hey, just let's at least throw out the fact that Cox gave us some free weenies.
Oh, yes. I had a Cox wiener. I had mine. I wish I knew the company had bring them in there. It wasn't a bad wiener. It was pretty good, but so I had mine with onions, big pickle spears, and pepperoncinis, and it was outstanding. And mustard.
And they weren't the small ones. They were the big ones.
They were a hearty wiener. And they were like cooked over a fire. They had a cross cut going across them. So it kind of, it was nice. I was down with that.
I feel like I missed out.
Yeah, you should have came and got yourself a Cox wiener. Yeah. It was good stuff. And in the future, it'd be good to see Polity drift into that on both of the Republican and the Democrat. And I've heard tell that there's a Libertarian Party and a Green Party, though I imagine their conventions held at an IHOP. But it'd be nice if you drifted into that to where you could even dig down and get what are the things for vote there. Because in this convention, we had a new state Republican chair up for vote, vice chair up for vote, and treasurer up for vote. Is that correct, Dave? And so it would have been nice information to have that out, or to even know it was. How many Republicans might have joined that race had they known those were up for vote also? Yeah. Because and they ran uncontested.
Yeah. And there is something like that coming, and it's kind of halfway built now, right? Because you can like hide your profile on Polity, or you can make it public, right? Mm-hmm. And the people who make their profiles public, you can view their voting records, and you can compare yourself to them. So once it gets a little bit more developed out, right, if those people running for chair, if they're Polity users, right, you as a delegate, you can go in there, or just, anyone can go in there, and you can see, hey, how well does this person actually align with me? And there's obviously more data that we can do than just that.
Or to look in, does he even have experience in holding office in the party?
Yes.
And Democrats, if you guys have a meeting, please invite us. We want to come. We want to come and cover you guys. We'll do it honestly. Yes, I might talk crap to a few of you and tell bad jokes, but that's just what I do. It's nothing personal. I do that to everyone. But you know, we want to come to the Democrat stuff too. We want the Democrats to have a voice as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
100% agreed. And I think the Democratic convention is it next month, I think?
well, we're going to have to see if they can get us in there.
Yeah. I've been thinking, I'm not sure what it takes to get a booth there. Because I got a booth at the GOP convention last year. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe Democratic convention this year, but
A booth, or maybe see if someone else has a booth where you can put flyers in with it.
yeah.
You know, that might be the quick way to go about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Democrats, reach out to us. We want to come to your convention. We want to, you know, hear what you've got going on and be a voice to report for you and humana. Because we do have Democrats here in the county. I mean, believe it or not, Twilla County has, I think there's 3 or 4 of you at least, you know.
Most of our Republicans are Democrats. Let's not fool ourselves.
You know? All right. Well, you know, I like what you're building there. I think it is fantastic. So, you know, Ben, thanks again for coming on. You're welcome back anytime.
Alrighty.
And if we can help you out in any way, let us know.
Okay, we'll do it. Well, again, appreciate you guys taking the time out to have me on, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Outstanding. Dave, get feeling better. You know, I'm drinking, putting back the White Claws for you, buddy. Hoping you pull through.
I appreciate that, Jared.
You know, sacrifices must be made, but everyone have a good weekend. Be safe. You know, we'll see you next week. And, till then, you know, I don't know. Have a good time. Don't drink White Claw. Yeah. Humana. All right. We'll see you guys later.
And see ya. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.